Okay, good afternoon. I've got some announcements and some milestones to acknowledge, but I'll zip through them because we've got a really special guest on the line. I can't wait to have a chat with him. Obviously, grand final time, women's grand finals this week. In the field for the women's Div 2 reserves, we'll have Brian Humble and Rob Midland running together. I'm sure they'll enjoy that. The women's Div 2 grand final, Zane Gable and Jason Mounts. The women's Div 1 reserves grand final, John Rawes, Thorne and Archie Robinson. And the women's Div 1 grand final, Matt Harris and Shane Moss. So well done to all you guys. I'll put the complete list of the field banner and goal out with the coaching notes. Some big milestones this week. So a couple of 50 gamers, David McGlash in the field, Aidan Thomas in the boundary. Uh, we've got Jordan Pepper, field umpire, doing his 100th. 300 games up for Hung. So well done to Hung. And also David Monahan, both in the field, and a massive 1,000 games, 1,000 Adelaide Footy League games to Terry Crispin in the field. So we're going to do a bit of an article on him and make a big deal of that because that's a pretty huge effort. So that's all my announcements. We won't have any questions today because we're going to introduce our special guest right now. Curtis, do you want to unmute yourself? So many of you will know Curtis Du Bois. He's obviously South Australian, come through the ranks with the SANFL. A number of us got to umpire with him and got to know him. Been really excited to watch his journey, and he's going to tell us about how he progressed and how he's found AFL. And yeah, welcome to the Zoom, Curtis.
Thanks for having me. I'm just in my studio. We've got our show tonight. We do a live show every Monday, so that's why I look like I'm in the middle of a sort of half-made TV set. But yeah, good to be here.
I am going to ask you about your yeah, that whole side of things, but let's go into umpiring to start with. So I guess yeah, most 8-year-olds dream of being a AFL player. For you, it was dreaming of being an AFL umpire. Any idea why that was the case?
I honestly don't know that. I know you love the story, Cole, of that picture I had drawn in Sunday school that I forgot about, saying when I grow up I want to be an umpire, and then yeah, I'd completely forgotten. And then when I got on the list, my mum showed me that picture, and yeah, it was amazing that yeah, at 8 years old, that's what I wanted to do. I don't know. I guess a lot of us on this call are just wired to do this job. It's something that's inherent, innate in us. I wanted to play footy for a bit, and then I was too small and wasn't that good. And I always thought I'd like to give umpiring a go. And I answered an ad in the paper. Like again, I think a lot of people pre 2010, that's the way they got into it with the basic umpires course, and it all went from there. So, not sure. I think there's just something within us that love that side of the game.
Yeah, and obviously you're a mad footy supporter as a youngster.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Sandful footy actually. My grandpa was a massive Central Districts fan, so I would go along mainly with my dad to Central's games, probably 12 to 14 games a year, almost every game at Elizabeth and a few on the road as well. And then my second game of league footy at Sandford, my hero Paul Thomas absolutely tore me to shreds, and I was devastated afterwards. But it was a good lesson that all teams are the same, and you got to get rid of your allegiances pretty quick.
Yeah, I can relate to that very much so. So just tell us how that career progressed.
Yeah, so did a year or two of junior footy in the Central Districts Junior Footy League, which is what it was then. Frankie Manicus, who's on this call, was from the same. So he was actually, I think we did junior footy together there and then pretty much progressed through the sample ranks together. But went to the amateur league in 2005. I was 15. I looked about seven. And that was the greatest step for my career, honestly. I still have vivid memories of those games, vivid memories of my first red card, Smithfield versus Hectorville at Hectorville. I reported a guy called Dean Warner. I had to go to the tribunal. It was terrifying, but it was a good experience for me. But yeah, that taught me heaps. Umpiring men's footy at a young age taught me a lot about management and staying calm when things go crazy, which they often did in the amateur league back then. I think it's a little better now, but I still have no doubt it's hairy at times. And then from there, yeah, went to the academy in the Sandful under 17s under Gary Wild, Shane Harris, and they sort of nurtured me all the way through 19s reserves. Did league footy in 2009 and spent 7 years there. honing my craft and trying to make it to the AFL.
So what was the moment you realised that AFL was a realistic option for you and that you could make it?
Honestly, pretty early. I After my first few weeks of just umpiring in juniors and understanding what the job was, people kept saying that AFL, for those who want it, is a realistic path, and I bought into that pretty early. And I thought, well, if I'm doing this, I would love to make it to the AFL, and that sort of drove me right from the start. And there were a lot of times when I thought it would never happen. Especially, I did a few grand finals in Stanford, kept getting rookie listed, kept missing out. Similar story to Lee Howson, although he did it even harder with the years that he missed out. Um, but yeah, it was always in the back of my mind that if I was going to do this, I was going to try and make it all the way. And yeah, I was lucky enough that after 10 or so years, it did.
So how many AFL games have you done, and what are some of the bigger games you've umpired in?
About 230 now, I think. I don't know the exact number. I've been very fortunate to do a few prelim finals. So I've done three. I've done the last prelims in the last 2 years. They were incredible. There's something, yeah, the tension in a prelim. I had Brisbane Collingwood last year, had the Jamie Elliott, Brandon Starcevich spoil that I didn't pay. Very close decision.
Just remind us of that, because
Yeah, that was about 5 minutes to go. Collingwood are down by about a goal, I think, in the prelim. Comes down my end. Starcevich is going back with the flight of the footy, has his eyes on it. And I didn't know at the time, it was so close, whether he'd contacted the footy or whether he hadn't. He misses the ball by about an inch and makes contact with Jamie Elliott. So should have been a free kick. Didn't pay it, but it's one of those ones where we we've all had it a million times in this call. You look at it and you see what you see and you make the decision based on that. And my philosophy is always, if I'm unsure, I don't buy in. So I wasn't sure, I didn't buy in, but that was just one of many moments that stick in your mind. Prelims have been special. Showdowns, as a South Australian, I've done a few of those now, and there's always something incredible about those weeks. I was in my first year, I did the one after Phil Walsh passed away, and I've never felt more significant emotional energy around a footy match in my life. And still to this day, it was one of the most remarkable nights of my footy life. So yeah, they're the big ones. And Anzac Day as well is obviously incredible.
yeah, wow, you've had some huge games. So we actually had Shane Harris on our Zoom about a month ago on the week he had his last day in the office. So
Yeah,
he
cool.
talked very highly of you. I know you guys catch up. He actually said he wants to write a book about you.
Well,
Why is that?
this is funny. I knew he wanted to write a book. I didn't know it was exactly about me, but that's what I keep hearing. So I'll catch up with him for my next coffee and I'll quiz him about the exact contents of the book. But no, Shane was, yeah, Shane's a massive reason why I made it to the AFL. He had really good philosophies on what it meant to be an umpire and how you manage a game of footy and what's important. And he was hard on me in those early days, and he held me back when I thought I was good enough to do grand finals and trial for the AFL. When in hindsight, I wasn't, and he knew that. He was huge. So he delayed me by a couple of years when I needed it the most, and he was right. And yeah, he instilled some really good principles in me that I still carry to this day. So I'll forever be grateful to Shane for all he's done for me.
I don't know whether you remember this, but it sticks in my brain. When I'd finished umpiring, I was taking on a coaching role until I got this job, and I observed you one night at Richmond Oval.
I remember this. Yep,
Yeah. So I told you after a game that I thought you'd missed a couple of reports during the game, and then I
I
went
do.
back to the car park, and you were, I don't know whether you're in tears, but you were absolutely shell shocked. Yeah, tell us your. So you do remember that, do you?
I do. I remember it very clearly. Yeah, it was a game at Westies. Westies were always tough. Guys like Ben McCready and Adam Hartlett who would hit guys behind play for fun. So you always had to have your head on a swivel. And I did. I had a bad game, and I did. I missed two punches to the gut, and it was at the time when I sort of thought everything was going to fall into place for me fairly easily. I could just keep doing what I was doing, and I'd get grand finals and make the AFL. Um, and it was a really bad game. And you told me rightly that I'd missed these things. And I was too caught up in trying to be perfect and thinking that everything had to be perfect to advance, where we all know everyone here has had good games and bad games, and you're defined across a season, not just in one week. So I had to work very hard on taking feedback on, not that I was petulant It was just that I would take errors to heart too much. And I would let them affect me too much, and I'd be too down on myself. So that was a good lesson that you taught me. You said, I remember you knocked on my window, and I rolled down the window in the car park, and you just said, you're not going to have great games every week, and you've got to be able to accept that and just move on from it. And you were spot on. And it's still something that's very hard at AFL level. I'm better at it now than I was, but yeah, with a microscope on you and so many good umpires around you, it's hard to accept when you're below your best. But it'll happen. So it was a good lesson.
Yeah, nice. So, when you got on the list, it was you needed to move to Melbourne to be part of the AFL panel. So, how was that move?
It was great. We loved it. I was always going to move, and Kathy, my wife, was always 100% in on that as well. Even if it wasn't compulsory, we were going to, because I didn't want my first few years in the AFL to be apart from the main group. So that was really important for me. We were there for 7 years, made lifelong friends. I think I benefited from being in the building and having coaches one-on-one and in person. And then COVID changed pretty much everything. They relaxed the rules and said if you want to go home to your home state, you can. We just had our first child, Madison, who's 5 now. But by the time she was 6 months, she hadn't met family, hadn't seen anyone other than me and Kathy, because you couldn't go anywhere in Melbourne. So we thought, well, it's probably time to go home. My Oma had just died. We missed the funeral. We had to do it over Zoom like this. So there were just a few things that made us think Adelaide is the place to be. We never thought we would move back. We were happy in Melbourne, but things changed pretty quickly. And it took me 12 months to adjust to coming back here. But in hindsight, for our family, we now got 3 kids. It was the best thing.
Yeah. What suburb are you living in these days? I wouldn't even know what side of the city you're in.
I'll keep that to myself. No, northeast of the city. I'll leave it there.
Out towards Central Districts, right?
That's right.
Yeah, no, we won't ask for your address here. So, what I was going to ask you what you do outside of umpiring. So, tell us about your YouTube channel and yeah, is that your full-time work now?
Yeah, so I have a business called Muscle Cat Media, which I've been working pretty much full time on for the last 2 years. It started just as an NFL podcast with some mates. Chris Hall, who used to play for the Eagles, I'm good mates with him. I do the show with him, and Matt Maidman, who used to umpire Sandford in Amateur League. So that's the show that started it, the Outback Quarterback, which is an NFL show, and that still goes today. But now we've got 5 shows across different sports. We've got different hosts doing stuff for us. We've got the YouTube channel, which is Kurt Can't Talk. That's our live Monday show, which starts at 8 o'clock tonight. That's why I'm in here. Basically, I wanted to wake up and build something and do something of my own that I enjoyed every day. That was a unique challenge that, whilst I've got time with footy and the ability to do something different, I wanted to give it a go now. And we've had some exciting times, especially over the last few months. We've reached millions of people, which we didn't think we would. There's some things that you try and fail and feels embarrassing, and there's some things you expect won't work and they go brilliantly, and people love it. So yeah, we're basically just trying to entertain people through sports and talk to guys like us who love nothing more than sitting down and watching golf or cricket or soccer or whatever. So yeah, it's been good fun.
So, how many followers do you have on these shows?
On my personal page, the Kurt Can't Talk pages across Insta and TikTok, I never thought I would say I was on TikTok, but I have 50,000 followers there. And then on YouTube, we've got about 1,500. So it's growing. We're getting there. And then we've got other shows that have about five or so thousand each. So yeah, getting there.
So, I mean, for someone like me that has no idea, and I would imagine most on the line here, how does it become an income stream?
So our podcasts, 3 out of the 5 are sponsored. We have multiple sponsors. So every episode we give them a plug. Anyone who's listened to a podcast before, you would hear sponsors there. That's our main revenue stream for those. And as they get bigger, we're getting a lot more interest now, which is cool. And then there's other stuff as well with my individual pages, the Kurt Can't Talk stuff, where from time to time I get paid to do posts for businesses or for networks or whatever. So working on a few deals this week actually that would see me get paid for a few more things on Insta and TikTok. So it's a weird world. I knew nothing about it until 3 or 4 years ago. I have had to learn a lot in a short time, but Yeah, it's possible. It's viable if you get it right.
And do you have anything else you do, or is it umpiring and this?
This and yeah, three kids and church every Sunday that I'm in South Australia, so that keeps us busy enough.
Yeah, I know you are. Your faith is really important to you. What church do you belong to, and what involvement do you have there?
Yeah, we go to Navigate Church in Northgate. So it was actually the church that I went to when I was 10 or 11, and then went our separate ways and whatever. And then 20 years later, I'm back there with my family. So that's been cool over the last year or so to reconnect with some people that I grew up with. Um, yeah, so we, like I said, every Sunday that we are in South Australia, we head there. But unfortunately, during the footy season, that's about 40% of the time for me.
Yeah. So, you said you've done three prelims, which means you're extremely close to getting picked for a grand final. Is getting to be picked for an AFL grand final like a burning ambition, something that you'll do anything to get, or is it one of those things that you'll do everything you can, but you won't be devastated if you don't get it? Where do you sit with it?
I think it's somewhere in between those two answers. To be honest, if I finish my career and I don't have a grand final, yes, I will be disappointed because I feel like I can do it. I've gotten close three times, but haven't quite nailed it yet. Um, that said, 5 years ago, I think it would have destroyed me if my career ended without one. Now, whilst I'll be disappointed, I don't think it'll make or break my happiness. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. Like every year that you miss out, obviously you're disappointed, and I would feel like it's something unfulfilled if it doesn't get there. But you've seen people who have made grand finals and achieved other things in life, and that doesn't make them happy. And you've seen people who have not gotten near it, and they're the happiest people and fulfilled for all the right reasons. So, uh, yeah, I'll tell you when I retire where I sit on that, Cole.
No, you answered that really well. So let's talk about some issues this year. Are you going to get a Christmas card from McAndrew?
I don't believe so, and I have to be careful what I say in a public forum on that. But yeah,
No, I know. I
a
realize
tricky
that.
game, that one.
Yeah, tricky games. There's been a couple, isn't it? So yeah. Anyway, all right. We won't get you there. We don't want to make national news on this.
No, all good, mate. All good.
So take McAndrew away. Who's the hardest AFL player to umpire? Have you got one in mind?
I probably can't answer about any current players, and I'll disappoint you and say the hardest players of my career have not been at AFL level. They were at Sandful level. I remember Justin Sikalella for the Eagles in my first or second game. He followed me around all day and let me know that he knew that I was young and inexperienced, and he got on top of me completely. Then the Gowans brothers, who I'm now members at the same golf club, and I keep trying to avoid them on the booking sheet. But one day I will run into them. They made my life very difficult. They were geniuses, obviously, in their own way. And I remember I reported Chris Gowans once for forceful front on contact, and he said, "Curtis, that's garbage," and used stronger language than that. He goes, "When that gets thrown out on Monday, you come to me and apologize personally." And I said, "All right, fair enough." Sure enough, it was a bad report. It did get thrown out. And the next game I saw him and I said, "Chris, you made me apologize. And here it is. I'm very sorry." And he goes, "Bloody right you are." And then he walked off and that was it.
Yeah, that's the gowns. Yeah. So I tune into the footy, obviously, to listen in quite a lot. Do you realise, does it get back to you that you've got a bit of a cult following on Triple M this year? They just keep mentioning your name. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I know BT is a fan. I don't know. I think it's genuine. I don't know whether it's sarcastic or not. I know he mentions me a lot, and JB does bring up my name to rile up BT. But BT is nice to me when he sees me in person. I think he likes me. I think he just likes my name, honestly. It's just a name he seems to enjoy saying. So
I
he's
think
got
it's
a bit
just
of a thing
because
for
they
things
know
that way.
you. I think it's just because they know you when they see you out there make a decision. But
Maybe.
how do you go with all that media scrutiny, whether it's social media or the traditional media? Does it ever get to you?
Uh, pretty, it's pretty good, to be honest. Obviously, the challenge now with a job or a network that I'm trying to build that is public facing and online, you do cop a little bit more. So we've had a few comments on, our NFL show or on Kirk Can't Talk or whatever of idiots that have found the pages, but it has been a lot less than I thought, to be honest. sometimes you don't even realize it's happening. My algorithm is not full of football. I don't really consume much footy media, so at times I'm oblivious to the storm that's happening around me, which is probably the best way to be. Have had some pretty nasty direct messages. That's one drawback of having a unique name. I'm very easy to find. So yeah, you get it. It's part of the job. I do feel pretty protected. Every time there's something that is threatening, we report that straight to Steve McBurney and the team, and they look after us. So yeah, you get your idiots like in everything, but I would say from the outside looking in, we're more insulated than you would expect.
Yeah. And gather round. You must love umpiring here for gather round because we love gather round, obviously. But seeing you out there on Norwood Oval this year, and I'm seeing you some photos of you out running out,
Yeah,
yeah, you must have absolutely loved that.
I did. Gather round was something that I didn't realize quite how good it would be. I was a bit ambivalent to the concept of it, but then when it happened, and for nothing else than having a guaranteed week at home, it's great for us. But to see everybody come to Adelaide and be so impressed and so enamored with not only Adelaide Oval and our local ovals, but just the city itself, I think it's been brilliant for us. Um, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Getting back on Norwood Oval was special because, I umpired Norwood during their three premierships when they were a dominant team. So that place has a lot of great memories for me. I've umpired games with you that were massive. Port and Norwood, Frankie, we did games together at Norwood's peak as well. And going back to Norwood Oval after those Friday nights all those years ago when they had 7 or 8 thousand people there and the place was heaving and it felt like 30,000 to do an AFL game there was very special. So yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, awesome. Now I've got more questions which I can go to, but I know that there's others on the line that would like to jump in. So if you want to ask Curtis a question, unmute yourself and you can ask him just about anything. Maybe just don't mention Mac Andrew. Gory.
Curtis, tell about the time you won the house in the raffle.
I knew this would come up. Thanks, Ian. Look, I think most on the call have probably heard this, so I'll give you the very condensed version. And I only tell this story when asked. So 2013 Sanford Grand Final, Shane Harris runs out at three-quarter time. Game was over. It was 10 goals in it. And he comes to us and I think, what the hell have we done wrong? We must have cocked something up badly for our head coach to be running out in the field. He goes, boys, you're doing well. We said, thanks. So, why are you out here? And he said, Curtis, you've got the house. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, the house in the raffle. You've won it and your name is about to come up on the screen. We wanted to tell you before you saw it on the big screen. And I'd completely forgotten that about 2 months prior, I had bought a bunch of tickets for the Sandful Umpires Association fundraiser. And I was trying for weeks and weeks to sell them at my work, sell them to friends everywhere. No one wanted to borrow them because they were $10, the tickets. So bad value, they said, too much. And I thought, well, I can't go back empty handed because this makes money for the Umpires Association. So I have to just buy these and hand back the book and say, look, I spent $200 on these. Take the proceeds. Enjoy. Turns out the winning ticket was in that book. And it was a week before our wedding. And I still can't really explain it, to be honest. It is it's a surreal memory. It doesn't really feel like it happened to us, but it did. And we didn't deserve it, but it's one of those things. I can't explain it. And it was a very happy memory, obviously. Oh, and the other thing was it was three-quarter time, and all I cared about was getting my next bounce straight because Rowan Saws, the AFL head coach at the time, was there watching me umpire. So I just did not want to ruin that fourth quarter. So Michael Avon came up to me and he goes, go to the end zone for 5 minutes. I'll take care of this. You just sort yourself out. I said, thanks, Mick. And the last quarter went well. Got the next bounce straight. So that was good.
I did tell Curtis I wouldn't ask him about that because he gets that story all the time, but it's a great story.
That's all right. That's fine. I understand why.
And on Triple M this year, Tex Walker was commentating and he actually said when they were talking about you, do you realize he won the lottery?
Oh, really?
I
Tex is a good man. I umpired him from his very first game coming from Broken Hill to Norwood after he got drafted. And he used to get targeted massively in the Sandful. You would have remembered that, Cole. Every time he was playing, they would target him because he was this big name. And so, yeah, he's had an incredible career. And it feels weird that I've umpired guys' entire careers and they're now old veterans and they're retiring. And here I am still plugging away. But yeah, it's been nice to umpire guys like him.
Someone else want to unmute themselves? Michael or Jesse?
G'day, Curtis. Just speaking on Tex Walker, you missed the big game in Clare back in 2014. Do you remember that game, the Clare
Big
Valley?
game.
Tex Walker's comeback game after his ACL.
Oh
You
yes,
were
I do.
yes,
Yes,
and
I didn't
Colin
do that, did I?
Mark Hill had to do the police escort to get Tex safely into the ground.
Well, there you go. Yeah, heroes
Yeah,
welcome. I mean, yeah, he's a larger than life character, and you can see why everyone's drawn to him. But yeah, the fact that that was 2014, what's that, 12 years ago, and he's
yeah,
coming back,
yeah.
and he's had 12 more years since the ACL. Amazing.
Yeah, it was an interesting night that we did the curtain raise in North Clare and South Clare and had to change in the same rooms. So it's a bit like the Crows and Port Power having to change in the same rooms before
Oh,
and
there you
after the
go.
game.
Bit of rivals, are they?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Very good.
Anyone else? So I've got a bunch of other questions if no one wants to. Sam?
I was just going to ask, hey Curtis, how much longer do you think you'll keep umpiring and best guess?
That's a great question, Sam. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Four umpires has extended careers. I'm not certain I would have been able to come back. I had three operations on my right knee, one in 2019, two in 2022, missed the whole year. I don't know how well I would have adapted in that 12 or 24 months afterwards if it was still three umpires. So I'm good now, but that was a hard period. I think my body will be okay for 10 years if I want it to be. But mentally, I don't know. There'll come a time where I think I'm done. Hopefully, that's not before I've had the chance to do a grand final. Like I said before, obviously that's still a massive goal of mine. But depends how the business goes. If that can stand on its own 2 feet and becomes all consuming, depends where I am mentally with enjoyment and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm 36 now. Simon Meredith is 52, still umpiring grand finals. He did his first grand final at 37, and he's done 10 of them now. So technically, I'm still on track for 10 grand finals. So I'll let you know in a decade.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's really good. And are you missing the bouncing or not?
Yeah, I am actually, because I was good at it.
Yeah.
And it was something that I could bring to the team. And when we were struggling, I was able to, help us and bail us out. And I do like the theatre of it. That said, I completely understand why it's gone. I understand why, in some ways, it's good for the game. And I understand why, longevity-wise, it is important. I don't know where my back would be in 5 years' time if I kept smashing them into the turf. So, yeah, selfishly, when there's a skill that you're great at, obviously you want it to continue because it's a strength you can bring. But I get why it's gone.
If anyone has a question, just unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. Curtis, we're about to launch into our men's finals. Our women's grand finals are coming along this week. Any advice for the umpires when they go out to umpire finals in the next few weeks?
Yeah, well, firstly, try and enjoy it because it's special and, they're never guaranteed. I remember I was told that Anthony Mead, Meady, who was a fieldy and then a boundary umpire, he, after my first grand final, said, enjoy this. You never know if you'll get another one. And at the time, I was like, oh, that's pretty negative. But, his point was that they're precious. So enjoy them. As far as performance-wise, try and stick to the fundamentals that got you there. You've been picked for a reason, whether you're a great game manager, whether you've got great decision-making instincts, whether you're a great runner, or whatever it is, just don't change anything. Use the tools that got you there because that's why you've been picked.
So, AFL-wise, is a name not known to many, but your head coach is Michael Jennings. So just tell us a little bit about him and how he's played a role in your last few years.
Yeah, Jeno he's a great guy, and he is a man of immense strength of character, I would say. It's an incredibly testing role. I'm not sure I could do it without going insane, to be honest, with the scrutiny and with the amount of heart attacks he must have every given weekend. He can't relax until all 9 games are done, and he watches a hell of a lot of footy. He's a workhorse. He cares a lot about his job and about us. The impact he's had on me is he's very honest. When I'm going well and I'm doing things well, he will tell me. When there's things I need to be better at, he will tell me that as well. And he's probably had the most impactful conversations with me about my standards and my performance out of anyone at AFL level, I would say. And yeah, I love that about Jeno.
So, has he given you any indication how you're traveling this year?
Uh yes, yeah. I mean, we're in constant dialogue. Him and we all have sort of duty of care coaches who have small groups each. So Cam Douglas is mine. It hasn't been my best year. I will be honest. I'm not probably where I normally would be at this time of the year. So I genuinely don't know if I'm going to do finals or not. Um, but that is what it is. Sometimes you're killing it, sometimes you're in great form, and other times you just find yourself in a bit of a loop where you're, for whatever reason, not able to consistently perform at that level. Craig Fleer, one of my very best mates, who's obviously done 2 grand finals, when he was having a bad year or a down year for him a couple of years ago, he gave the example that he felt like a cricketer who kept making 20s and 30s and then nicking one of the slips. Like he just was going okay and then would do something that would just bring him back, and he couldn't get himself going. And at times this year, I felt a little bit like that, and that's just the cycle.
So, fair enough. Fair. What game you got this week?
I've got Sydney and North Melbourne at the SCG. So I love umpiring at the SCG. It's a very special place, a lot of history. It's one of those places that you never get sick of. The MCG, Adelaide Oval, and the SCG. Always happy to go there, regardless of what the game is.
Not sure how many Sydney players will be playing after last night, but anyway, don't go there.
I can't. Yes, keep going.
Now, Greg Swan and Andrew Dillon, obviously big names in the AFL scheme of things. How often do they speak to the umpiring group? Do they have any communication with you at all, or is it all through Michael?
No, they do quite regularly. They come to training. They liaise a lot through our leadership group. So we've got a leadership group of 6 or 7 guys. They talk to them very often. I would say at least fortnightly. There's something going through there. And then Steve McBurney, who's the umpiring manager and obviously a very decorated umpire himself, he manages most of the communication from above through to us. So he's the conduit. But yeah, they're pretty open. And certainly as the years have gone on, I think there's been more communication from top down to the umpiring group.
So doing what you do these days, do a chat GPT search. What can you tell me about Curtis DeBoy? There was some mention there that you've been in the leadership group over the time. Is that right?
Yeah, I was for a couple of years. I actually stepped down a few years ago because I just felt I had too much footy in my life. And I was coming back from injury, had a year where umpired well, had a bad final, didn't get picked for the next week, and Scotty McLaren was my duty of care coach at the time, and he just said, "Don't worry about leadership group, just get yourself right, have a great year." And it was good advice. I stepped back and did a prelim. So I haven't put my hand up for it since because things have been going pretty well. But yeah, we've got great leaders who are probably they're more intertwined with the group being in Melbourne at the moment. So I'm here for anyone whenever they need help. But at the moment, yeah, I'm not formally in it.
Now, we had a young fella out with us, and a lot of those on the line will know him. He's now out at the Sandful and progressing nicely. I introduced you to him. Have you got to know Jai Burrell at all out at the Sandful?
I haven't much, but Craig Fleer is mentoring him very closely. And every 2 weeks, Fleary tells me how good this guy is. Apparently way better than me when I was his age. So yeah, he sounds like a jet, and everybody who's seen him umpire says he's a gun. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
When you came out to training, we got a picture of you and him together.
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
I do remember.
It was like, this is our young Curtis. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on him. So what motivates you, like when you go out each week? Is there something that really fires you up each week to really push yourself? What really keeps you revved up to perform at a high level?
Yeah, it's a good question because I'm sure everybody on this call has experienced the ups and downs of motivation and mood in umpiring. If things aren't going fantastically, sometimes it can feel like a really hard job to complete to a high level. And then when things are going well, it seems sometimes pretty easy. For me, no matter what mood I'm in, I've got a job to do for my family. I love that footy provides for my wife and my 3 kids. I feel very, very blessed and very lucky that that's turned into something real. So that's my number one motivation. And number 2 is my standards. Like every time I get out onto an AFL field, I do have a buzz of excitement that, I'm here to do a job, I'm relied upon, and I don't want to walk off knowing that I haven't given everything today. I don't want to walk off with a performance that was less than I was capable of. So I don't always achieve it, but there's something in me and something in all of you, I'm sure, that when you're out there, people expect a certain level of you, and I don't like letting people down.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. We're coming to the end. This Zoom cuts off after 40 minutes. So I don't want us to finish.
Oh, you need the premium plan, Cole. It's only $20 a month.
I borrowed this off John Kernahan and I just run with it. No, it's good that we don't go on anyway, which we could do. We actually are going to have our last Zoom for the year next week, and we've got another AFL umpire to come on, Matthew Nichols. So, Matty,
wow.
retired yesterday. So, tell us about your involvement with Matty through the years.
Yeah, Nico was actually my mentor through some program or other back in 2012 before I got on the AFL list. And he was really caring and really he's a man of great thoroughness, Matt. So he doesn't leave any stone unturned. And it's been interesting watching him go through his rehab with his injuries and things over the last few years. He's meticulous and he cares a lot about his job and about the people that he umpires with. When he was at his peak, he was a really, really good umpire. Just had an incredible decision-making ability and a very unique way of managing the game, one that was entirely Nico's process, but at his peak and at that era of umpiring, he was just perfect for it. So it's sad to see guys like that retire because it reminds you how quick time moves, and I loved watching him when I was younger, but I did get to do a bunch of games with him at AFL level, which was really cool. And I'm very glad he got back to do a game on the weekend because he deserved a fitting send-off.
Yeah, brilliant. Mate, awesome to catch up with you. You just speak so well. We love watching you out there on the AFL field, those of us that know you. I love that stat you said about Simon Meredith, and he didn't get his first one until 37. And the best is still ahead for you, I'm sure. So thanks very much for spending the time with us today. Really inspiring, and all the best for everything that's going on in your life.
Thanks, mate. Great to chat. Always enjoy coming on and speaking to you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. What a great chat that was, and all the best for those running grand finals this week. All the milestones. We'll catch up for our last Zoom next week. Look forward to it. Catch you then.